And Mike, I think Kostis is someone very, very close to you, isn't it?
Indeed, I cannot be more biased about this matchup, to be honest. I'm sorry to Marco.
He's one of your close friends, you said, right?
Indeed. And knowing him very well, he's a very good player. After coming with a top in West Birmingham, I'm sure that he wants to repeat in the European Championship.
Oh, did he do it with Raisi Mitsurugi there as well?
Pure Raisi.
Oh, pure Raisi at that point. But now we are over to the Mitsurugi part. And there is a Perulia in the standby phase, immediately netting a draw off of that X-Raisi there. That is usually the start you want to have, but into a Perulia, it's pretty rough, honestly.
Yeah, it's really, really rough because now you actually get to search swords, so not even immediate access to Ice Raisiel that could play around it a little bit better. Let's see where we're going to go with this. I mean, we could just summon out the sword and then go into King of the Feral Imps to add Habakiri and then try to play more from the deck. Maybe eventually go out for a detonator here, but we've drawn 2 cards already on the side of Marco, so there's no guarantee that it's gonna stop after this Perulia.
Yeah, Pot of Greed already resolved as the first motion of the day. Marco must be feeling good.
And I mean, Raisiel Mitsurugi's deck that, especially I guess Perulia needs to adapt very good their plays, because he needs to go as fast as possible to Mitsurugi in order to play a little bit.
Wow, Marco maybe already had the Avermold Charmy already, or alternatively just drew into it with the Perulia draws. That Raisi across is not going to help much. I think we're going to go into the detonator there and leave it as it is. That's what I'm assuming. Yep, there is the detonator.
And yesterday we had another draw here. Ooh. We had a little conversation, and I remember you saying Detonator is a heck of a card.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, if you don't have infinite impermanence, Raisiel Detonator can be enough against some decks, even though...
Oh, okay, hold on.
All right.
Triple Tactic Talents, we're having a sweet look, and we're finding multiple engine cards for the Evil Twin deck, and also the Fiends with Engraver in there. Honestly, out of those, maybe the Engraver really being the most scary one here, I want to say.
I can definitely see that, because you can just add the Tract with it. You have Larry in hand as well. I think, what are you even going to search at that point?
Lacrima.
It's,
But you really don't want to normal summon another monster other than...
thing, yeah. And then you kind of want to summon Lacrima from the deck as well, so... I think the Engraver really is what changes this here, because... yeah, you can't really stop the live stream cards anyways, as there is now this super powerful Link 1 monster for the deck, which of course is the Evil Twin Kizikil deal, and therefore any Kizikil monster really does it right on the spot, transforms you at least into Fiends with Combo. But we're making the decision here from Kostis to instead just go after Live Twin Kizikil there.
It's very interesting, because this deck usually doesn't play well into fields, but Detonator is not the worst card to play against, because if you normal summon your Live Twin Kizikil and Detonator is being chained, you just summoned a Lilla, and Lilla then again. Wow, that was the draw for turn. That is massive.
Infinite impermanence, making sure that maybe this game is not going to be infinite, but rather going into Marco's favor quickly here. What a start for him, and the Engraver still there, ready to be discarded. One reason to keep the Engraver in hand, though, could be if we have Drone and Lockbird ourselves, possibly, because if we do have that, that would be a perfect answer.
Just a note that Kostis chose to return Kizikil into the deck, because he's the one that can go to the Link 1 instead on the Live Twin, since the Kizikil deal only needs a Kizikil in order to be summoned.
True. Very much right. Now the Fiends with Track, so there was no response with Drone and Lockbird on the resolution. One thing noteworthy, even though we have negated the Raisiel Detonator, there's still 2 things about it, because it gives material for Raisiel Cross to negate a monster effect anyhow, and there is a Mariologic Aggregator underneath it, so we can activate the effect at some point, making sure that the Aggregator in the graveyard eventually gets to activate its effect. So even though the Infinite Impermanence was there, it's still not all over with what the Detonator can do.
But we have good ways to force out the Detonator responses here, right? We have Requiem. Requiem is going to be able to summon out Lacrima if you want. You can just also go for another Engraver and then immediately just attach or equip the Requiem from the graveyard and force out the first detonator. In fact, we're negating the Requiem here.
Yes.
That is interesting, because now we basically have all the interruptions off. We know that there is no other piece of the Kizikil engine there, but I'm pretty sure that the Live Twins Fiendsmith deck is going to be able to bridge.
So Kostis chose to only play against the Fiendsmith, since now Marco probably needs to normal summon the Lacrima in order to keep going with his Fiendsmith engine. Otherwise he could access the Live Team. So Marco right now needs to take the decision if he's going to play with Live Team or with Fiendsmith.
Are you sure about that? Because I think you can just activate Requiem here, then Detonator must kind of be chained and send the Aggregator to the graveyard to negate the... Yeah, to negate the engraver. And then if you normal summon Lacrima, you have a sequence line with Aerial... No, you don't have Aerial Eater lines. How do you bridge from Fiendsmith into Live Twin? Do you?
You bridge
It's usually the other way around.
Yeah, you can...
Because it's so easy to bridge the other way around.
Yeah, sure, but...
You can turn Kizikil Deal into Requiem
I know, but there has to be another way, right? Yeah, there has to be a way that both of these engines were with each other.
I mean, probably with Aerial and then go to...
But there's no Aerial.
Yeah, you can't also... I mean, there are Fiends in the extra deck with the Evil Twins, but the Live Twins are all Cybers.
No, they're not Cybers. They
My
are...
goodness. I've played this deck.
They're
What is-
Fiends. They're Fiends. You mean the Evil Twin Lilla?
The main monsters.
Oh, the main monsters. They are different attributes. They're Aqua, Cybers. But
Oh,
yeah,
goodness.
there's Cybers, there's Spellcasters. There's all kind of different attributes. But there is a Cybers in there. I'll give you that, Leo. But I thought you were still talking about the
No,
main...
no, the Evil Twins, they are the Fiends, which is why you can bridge there.
And that's why they're evil as well,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay, the Lacrima is out now as well. And like you were saying, deciding only to play against the Fiendsmith engine, I think the Fiendsmith engine on its own is going to have trouble closing out the game here right on the spot. So there is a chance that it gets back to Kostis here eventually.
Yeah, indeed, because he right now wants to take another turn, so don't forget that he has been Purulia and Fugalos, so it means that he has a lot of follow-up probably in his hand.
Sure.
So he just wants to take one more turn and play in a mini board rather than getting OTK'd.
That is a good point. Of course, you always take that, but after the triple tactic talents, we knew that Marco also has double drone Lockbird in hand. Plus the setup, probably Desiree that we're going to see.
Sequence, and I mean, if we go into Desiree, there might also be a way to get rid of the cross even, so there's even less follow-up than for Kostis. That could still be, well, more than enough for Marco, what he's trying to do here. Okay, immediately linked off for the Agnum Day, of course. We're seeing Fiends of Agnum Day a lot this weekend. I feel like we're almost seeing it more than the Caesar, actually. We're preferring the Link Road and the Fusion Monster in between instead of the also powerful rank 6.
Yep, and I mean, you're not quite getting the OTK just with Agnum Day and Desiree. That's why we're sending the Ryziel cross. Agnum Day activates, becomes a Desiree, and now we can just attack freely over the detonator. So we have outed the field. We can attempt at least. We're going to probably calculate some math here. Attack over detonator, everything resolves. And I think Marco, even though this isn't the most impressive field that he could put up, it is Desiree plus double draw and Lockbird. So if a Called by the Grave was drawn by Kostis, you wouldn't even have to negate it. You could just throw another draw and Lockbird at it and be fine.
Yeah, this definitely does look alright. Noteworthy though, that Desiree does not have sequence as a monster equipped to it, meaning Ext Ryziel would be huge, but on the other hand, there's Aggregator already in the graveyard, and therefore that's not that big of a deal anymore.
Good point, but you could send Valen and destroy
Valen is for set cards only though.
Alright.
And then we have Ice Ryziel as a normal summon, will be answered with the Desiree, rightfully so.
Seems
But is there just another Ryziel? Oh, it is Ice Ryziel, which will be special summoned.
It's not necessarily the one you want, but it does work with something like a King of the Feral Imps, even though King of the Feral Imps also doesn't do too much if you know that you will be under Droll and Lockbird after this. The thing is, Aggregator is in the graveyard now, or Detonator is in the graveyard, and Ryziel Cross is in the graveyard as well. So the Ryziel engine, it doesn't really do too much right here.
If we get to Duo Drive searches us too. Of course, we do get Droll and Lockbird on the resolution, but how much can we do with two monsters that we search? Possibly. Okay, it looks like, we do go into Duo Drive. I guess we get Ext Ryziel then. We could toy around with Ext Ryziel actually sending Eclipse Twins. I feel like Eclipse Twins might be a real good tool to work around all of this here. Now uses the Duo Drive, of course. I feel like there is a way for Kostis here.
Definitely looks
I
like
think
it.
there's only one exist though in the graveyard. So Clipson cannot reborn right now the detonator.
Yeah, not yet, that's true.
But with Node, obviously, it's a very good play.
Yeah, that's probably what you want to go for. There is the node, so we have now, and I mean, we can also just use the effect of X Dryzeal. Oh, wow, that is enough, Marco says. We are picking up our cards, confident enough that Kostis will take it from here. And honestly, I was not expecting this game to develop that way after Perulia and Fuvalos right away on the first turn, but Kostis is up a game now.
Triple Tactic Talents just won this game by taking out the only real engine card there, just going immediately, hey, you can only play with the Fiendsmith cards, and that is just definitely not enough, especially if you have some more interrupts like Cross, like Aggregator. So that really helping Kostis here to preserve some damage there, right? Because Perulia for 2 draws and then also a Fuvalos. I mean, the Fuvalos was basically just an upstart goblin on top. Everybody basically figured that this was not going to go anywhere anymore except for into a detonator.
It was everything was played in the mini mind game between the players. If Kostis wanted to leave both engine, if you wanted to take the engraver, for example, from Marco's hand, or to even keep the Kostis monster. So he chose to let only the Fiendsmith engine play only around Fiendsmith and gain an extra turn and establish a very good field, as we saw that Marco then scooped.
And still though, one question. Why did he scoop so early now? Because sure, we figured something out that might be good to set up, but it truly didn't feel like he would be just going for game there this turn. And we still had plenty of cards in our hand. We had Droll Lockbird ready to be activated as well. I was surprised by him immediately picking up the cards there, to be honest.
I think there might have been some Dugaris lines, like now with the node sending Duo Drive, we actually get to summon back another monster and we get to go into more of those cards, and X basically special summons the Duo Drive for free afterwards. We haven't even used Sword yet, so you can definitely go for a Dugaris line and maybe a Castel even as well.
Yeah, but Desiree still had the effect from the graveyard to send one.
Yeah, that's why I go Castel first.
Castel would be cool.
So Castel into Shuffle back. This area.
So I think there was definitely game there without even losing to Droll and Lockbird. Actually, maybe the Droll and Lockbird would have hurt that play. But I'm also considering, if you take Engraver in the beginning, your field might not even be outed, because if the Kizikil is normal summoned, I mean, that would heavily play into Infinite Impermanence there, but you could just go Chain Detonator, destroy it, and then Ryziel Cross negate the other effect, and then it becomes significantly harder to play with the Life Twin deck.
That's
if your
what I
normal
was
summon
thinking.
has been basically
Honestly,
taken away.
When I saw that hand, the Engraver looked like the most scary card out there, but I mean, Kostis was right? He did win the game. He made the right decision. Therefore, who wins games is always in the right. And therefore, Kostis so far up a game here in this one, of course. And now trying to bring it home, trying to bring Greece to the World Championship, huh?
Yeah, and I think there is many years ago that Greece had a participant in the World Championship.
Who was the last one? Yeah.
The last one was probably the European champion Christos Boudaloudis.
Oh yeah, true.
And the first one obviously was Miltiadis Marco that won the actual event.
That's crazy indeed. You do have some history with the World Championship. Let's make some history here today though and start with this featured match. Game 2 gets underway now.
All right. Marco gets to start now, and everyone knows this deck excels at going first, can basically play around any hand trap except for Mulchami Fuvalos. That is an absolute nightmare to play against if you are on the live Twin Fiendsmith strategy.
Alio, don't be a snitch. We're not seeing the Mulchami Fuvalos here, but Marco has the live Twin Sunny snitch instead.
Knowing his face, he has something in his sleeve, trust me.
Okay. You know your friend Kostis very well, so let's see. There is Droll and Lockbird, and now we will have to find out how impactful that even is against the live Twin Fiendsmith deck, because in my book, under my radar, under my watch, whenever I activated that Droll and Lockbird against live Twin Fiendsmith, it didn't really feel like it was doing too well, but let's find out here.
You know what I think? I think that Marco even could have an answer for that, and it's just like, All right.
Alrighty.
All right,
we'll take that.
I can still full combo here, especially because we started with the Kizikil. I don't even need to activate Kizikil deal effect, because that would include drawing. Or can you activate that? I mean, we've had a discussion about this before.
Evil Twin Kizikil deal is sending to the graveyard there, yeah. And we did send the Sweet to the graveyard with that. Oh, hold on. Okay, I think that is what we're...
And this is exactly why Live Twin breeds so good with Fiendsmith. You can just change Kizikil deal into Requiem.
Oh, but no Fiends of Access, but there is Called by the Grave on the Ash Blossom, a Joyous Spring. So yes, there is Fiendsmith for Marco.
And I want to see right now how Marco can combo under Droll, because we had a discussion earlier if Droll is good against the Live Twin Fiendsmith or not. And as you, Basti, said, it's rather mediocre since he can access his Fiendsmith engine very easily, as we can see right now.
Absolutely. Do we see a Caesar this time around, though? That's what I'm curious about. I would expect it, but you never know, of course. And I mean, not only the Fiends of Vengeance, but also just the Evil Twins and Live Twins, they just work really, really well under Droll and Lockbird. You just get to still anyhow go into Evil Twin Kizikil and Evil Twin Lila setup. You may even go into Evil Twin Troubled Sunny if you like, and that's just not impacted. Okay, you don't get to draw off of Evil Twin Kizikil, I guess, but you will be fine without that.
Absolutely. I mean, Droll and Lockbird basically is, for Marco, rather a security net, knowing there won't be any Mulchami Fuwalos action.
Yes.
So actually, when this card resolves against you, you're like, you know what? Yes! Yes, thank you.
Engraver effect now after a WCQ, of course. The new boss monster, essentially, from all of the Fiend decks out there. Unchained uses this, and of course also the Live Twin Fiends deck is using it, and we're discarding Fiendsmith in Paradise. What a discard that is, because out of a dead card in hand, we just actually made a real interruption in the graveyard now.
I mean, the Lacrima in the graveyard becomes significantly less strong, but look at this field. Look at this setup. Kostis will now have to play into this with only 4 cards in hand. Droll and Lockbird did nothing. Ash Blossom was banished later on, but the cards that Kostis has in hand, they don't look too bad.
Let's find out. We will have to deal with so many things. Interesting decision, honestly, by Marco to summon that Caesar in defense position. Sure, playing around Lightning Storm here a little bit, but it's not that big in terms of defense points anymore. It's only 1800.
He has 2 mini protections through battle, though, since both links can destroy monsters.
Yeah, that's true.
So he wants to force the battle phase.
Ooh, extra Iziel is something to out a Caesar anyways, though. That's huge.
That's the best answer to the Wave King High Caesar in the game, I want to say. The good thing is when you know that your opponent has activated 2 hand traps in your first turn, you still full combo. There is just a minimal chance of them drawing into field breaking cards like Forbidden Droplet, like Lightning Storm. Because usually you're either playing a lot of hand traps to stop your opponent from comboing completely, or you're playing only breakers just to get through any kind of field.
Sword Rise successfully added to the hand, but there is Droll and Lockbird this time around. Both sides now using Droll and Lockbird. And this is now even better. Of course, we did not use Called by the Grave on Droll and Lockbird.
Yeah.
If we just have one ourselves, because we truly want to resolve that, of course.
And to be honest, as you mentioned earlier, Basti, Droll doesn't do a lot against Live Twin, so you can keep your Cold for an Ass potentially, as we saw.
I mean, it just basically tells you that you can't be Fuwalos, which is really good. I think, by the way, if you're on Marco's side, you should definitely destroy one of these monsters here, because otherwise we can see the Excitonite, the Evil Swarm Excitonite has been such a powerhouse in the past and is now more relevant than ever, comes up in so many games. And yes, we're activating Troubled Sunny. We won't get a draw from our Kizikil, but Lila is going to destroy a monster.
And there it goes.
I mean, Marco respecting the extra knight that you said, Leo. And yes, I think this is game, actually.
Kostis packs up the card, says, yep, that Droll and Lockbird was maybe one too much. This engine is really good to break through fields, but if I can't add the cards that I want to add, then I have nothing going on for me. Used 2 hand traps in the beginning, started with 4 cards, was unable to add any more into a very impressive field with a lot of follow-up as well. Fiendsmith in Paradise in graveyard as well. there's just nothing you can do sometimes.
He was in paradise, truly, with that field there. I don't think really too many cards even could have just done anything there, honestly. Even if he goes for something like Lightning, so let's assume he had that card, then they chain probably via WCQ, so that resource still is kind of safe for the next turn. They still have to draw in Lockbird. It would have been so hard to actually get
You have
through
to
all of
win
this.
through
I mean,
Abawaku.
if Abawaku just protects herself and it can be activated in the standby phase of the next turn, it's pretty much game there. You draw so many cards at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you're putting that back as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, it's definitely
You can
pretty
choose
good.
what you're playing with, and you
Yeah.
also have the full Fiendsmith engine in the graveyard. There's just plenty of resources.
Totally,
but
totally.
now your friend gets to start game 3, and this is also what the Ryziel Mitsurugi deck excels at. Does he even play Mitsurugi cards at this point? I've only seen like Detonators and X Ryziels, and one Kusanagi that was discarded.
Yeah,
Game
only
number
for
one.
a discard for each plan.
Kusanagi's only discard for can't wait for the deck profile. Yeah, that's Kusanagi. It's great to discard.
Kusanagi, really not necessarily the card you want to draw, right? But that's one of those cards you truly just want to have in the deck to send off of Mitsurugi Ritual to then get your
Tribute.
Murakumo.
If you're
Okay,
sending-
okay.
If
It's
you're
not
sending
branded
Sand
fusion.
Bastille,
It's
then
not branded
people
fusion.
think you can ash the summoning from hand effect.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. No, totally
That
right.
confused me a lot before I read the card after 2 months.
I think everyone, Leo, to be honest.
No, absolutely right. That is totally true. But Kostis now can only cost himself this third game, right? Because he will be in the driver's seat. He will be the one taking the action. He will be the one trusting his instincts and going first. He had pretty good instincts game 1, honestly, where he just picked out the card that actually mattered for his opponent the most. So it will be on him again here.
Maybe his opponent is going to draw and lock his deck up so he can't continue comboing there. Purulia and Droll and Lockbird cards that are really, really strong against that strategy. Unless, I mean, if you have Habakiri, then Purulia is not that big of a deal anymore. You can still put up a pretty impressive field without that. So there are ways to go, but it's... I'm quite curious there if he actually gets to play this big turn that the deck can put up, because there are a lot of cards in the deck that just stop you. It's basically 9 cards that can really stop your first turn. If there's Droll and Lockbird, we all know what happens. If there's Purulia, you probably draw into either Lockbird or Fuwalos, and if the combination of Purulia and Fuwalos really stops you from accessing your Mitsurugi engine as well.
Yeah, talking with Kostis before the event, the card that he scared most was Fugalos, actually.
Okay.
No, not to Droll, not to Purulia, because under Droll you obviously have some plays, and you kind of expect to get Droll in some of the games, but Fugalos hurts both engines.
That is true. And now we're seeing that the duelists are ready, so let's waste no further time and go into game 3. I think in a way Purulia also hits both engines, because the summoning from hand effect is sometimes really relevant, even though you can just skip it in your combo if you've been Purulia'd.
Yeah. And I feel like, Mike, you're more nervous than Kostis here. You're really sweating here for him. I can really relate to that, though. And he doesn't look super happy here. Or is he just concentrated and locked in, trying to figure out what of those amazing cards in his hands is the best one to start with?
It is his kind of poker face.
Okay, all right, I respect it.
Also, if you're rooting for Kostis, I'm rooting for Marco.
Same, because he has
that's the
gold
deal.
pride sleeves. He has gold pride sleeves, he's all my man.
Yeah, true. Those are amazing. I use these for my time wizard decks, actually.
And I have to give it to Marco that he played very good the game 2, and he interacted very well against Kostis.
Oh, but this is taking a while, Kostis. Do you even have a play? Or is it just between all of those good cards again?
I mean, yeah, if he has nothing, he's gonna pass fast, right?
Oh, he is passing, though. It wasn't fast, but in the end, it is Marco's turn now.
To be honest, I have seen this face a lot of times, unfortunately.
But I mean, he has to have something. But he can't have Mulchamis. You always side them out going first, right? So there has to be something in his deck that does something for him here. What leads you to be in this position? I mean, the problem with this deck, the problem with the Ryziel Mitsurugi deck, that doesn't really do too much.
That was good back in the day, right? When you played Runic Light Twin, you would always try to imperm this, but now with the Link 1, it barely really does anything, to be honest.
It gives so much power to the deck. Accessing your field engine after you combo with Live Twin, it's just miraculous.
the big problem of this deck is that you play cards like Ryziel Cross, you play cards like Kusanagi. There is going to be, what else? Ryziel Star sometimes. There are so many brick cards. If you still have some of your cards like Drone Lockbird in your main deck because you had to side out all the Molchamis and there's nothing else to bring in, your hand against this deck can be absolutely terrible.
There's even more cards. Node Ryziel, Night Sword Serpent. There's really plenty of cards. Crossroad Designator, Called by the Great. Actually, there's a lot of cards that you don't want to draw.
Now I realize why I bricked so much.
Okay, we got the Necrocrypt Princess on the field, which I always like, because if our opponent now has an Ash Blossom or something, we are kind of secured from it, because we can just get a draw through the Necrocrypt Princess as a backup plan. All right, keep on Link climbing. That does very much look like a link into the Evil Twin Kizikil.
This is looking great for my boy Marco.
Indeed. Unfortunately, I have to say that Marco, at this point, has done nothing wrong. He plays under everything right now, and I know that he knows exactly what he's doing.
Yep, I will say, fortunately, he's a great player so far. You're absolutely right about that. Bawaku here as well. Bawaku can, of course, discard cards to activate effects, and Necrocrypt Princess will be happy about that. But at this point, you're leaving it on the field to play around a possible Nibiru the Primal.
Yes, you do, and therefore we have checked Nibiru, and we do just go into the Fiendsmith sequence. I feel like we are on our way to get to 8,000 points of damage here, possibly. That is 3 Fiends, including Fiendsmith Engraver, and we all know what kind of a combination that is. That is Fiendsmith Desiree, of course, and once more there's also the Fiendsmith Agnum coming our way, or rather coming Kostis' way here.
Now, Kostis, do you have... Nope, this is no Nibiru at the end of the main phase, not even bluffing his way through this. Abawaku attacks, Agnum attacks, Agnum puts itself into the spell trap zone, Desiree attacks, Kostis is just nodding here and shows the Night Sword Serpent in hand, gives up the handshake, and Marco wins round 10!
Wow, look at the hand there, double, triple Tactic Frost, and also the Star Ryziel, but no way to play the game, and therefore in the end was his opponent that took it down with the Evil Twin Fiends strategy.
It is a deck that can put up the best fields in the game. The combos, the 1-card combos, the 2-card combos of this decks are absolutely mortifying to play against, but you're playing so many bricks, you could just build a house with the deck sometimes.
Before the event, we were discussing about the Serpent. I was totally against it, and he was actually rooting for it.
Maybe he showed you. Maybe that was a message for you specifically, showing you the Serpent there.
But
that
I mean,
is pretty funny.
Marco had an amazing run, played every interaction very, very correct, and I totally loved the fact that he was always playing under Nib. He didn't left Kostis a potential Nibiru in any case.
And he has a great haircut.
He does have a great haircut,
like
for sure. And I think the deck in general just plays around Nib just naturally, right? It plays around Nib so well, has multiple ways to check it, because even a Q is already a point to check it, because if your opponent nips you, you always will at least get the Q back, which is huge.
Okay, Basti, so you were the first person to tell me about these technologies. What exactly leads you to having Engraver and Necrocrypt Princess on the field and then not going into Caesar? What is the nip check?
It is quite easy, because I think in the beginning when people started to play Fiendsmith Ryziel mostly, that's where it came up the most. Always you would go into that DDD Wave Hiking Caesar as the next action, which is a rank 6, which then checks the Nibiru because it can just negate it. Therefore, people were scared and afraid of having that happen, so they would always have to use their Nibiru on the summon of the second level 6 monster. And as soon as people realized and picked up on the fact that people would always use Nib there, they were like, hey, if my opponent doesn't use Nib here, he doesn't have it, so I can just go for sequence into Desiree, into Agnum for more than 8,000 points of damage, as we just saw there.
And you could just say, hey, that's a pretty dangerous mind game, because sometimes they will go in there. You're absolutely right, because there's also players not even playing the sequence package, and then if you have your Nibiru and you want to be very smart about this and you're not dropping it, your opponent just goes, Caesar. And then you have 1 card less in hand.
Yep, it is definitely a tough one to figure out. Thing though is, if you let them get to the Agnum and then nip at the end of main phase possibly.
That's Desiree.
There is Desiree first of all, sure, but also there's mostly still Lacrima in the graveyard, meaning you will have to deal with the Agnum and Desiree on the next turn then still.
You never throw Nibiru on the Agnode.
If you have only Nibi, the proper play right now is probably to wait. If he goes for Caesar, he goes. Otherwise, if he extends, he has the 2 6-level monsters, and he chooses to Nib check, and your opponent sees that you don't activate Nib. He may extend, as Basti says, and you can throw Nib later if it's the only hand that you have.
And then you probably then have to just, if he decides to go the link route, you probably have to use Nibiru, the primal being, on the Desiree summon, I would say.
Now then you lose your Nibiru.
Yeah, but you also give your opponent way less resources in the graveyard because they have to give up engravers. So I feel like you're okay with using your Nibiru there. Honestly.
Yeah.
But I mean, they
totally
still
agree.
have the Lacrima in the graveyard with that setup, and then they still technically have access to.
But there's no.
It's okay. If you have only Nib, you have 4 more engine cards and potentially a draw with an engine.
And I mean, I mean, they're always going to have a Lacrima, so you can't really change anything about that.
I think if you're throwing Nibiru at the Desiree summon point, you just wait for the entire combo. You just wait to disrupt your opponent at some other point where they could threaten the Nibiru negate again, for example, if they are going into duo drive or something, and then you're throwing something at that, because then this card actually has a high impact. When Nibiru the Primal Being came out in 2019, I think it was revealed at the World Championships in Berlin back then.
Yeah.
Everyone went crazy. This was the ultimate
Rightfully
card
so.
to stop combos. This was the highest impact card that you could ever have. And now it is considered a lower impact trap. But enough about Nibiru, the Primal Being. We've just had a winner. That is Marco. And we're going to go into the Analyst Lounge.
And we are back now with Marco, the winner of the first round of day 2. Congratulations, man.
Thanks.
Great show, although obviously, interesting ending right there.
I
Obviously.
feel bad for my opponent.
Yeah, I mean...
I was really scared for Nibiru, because having 2 special summon the Sweet had me to go kind of under the Nib. If he didn't have anything, I would have just kept the Necroquip, special summon the Frost when I had the 2 links. And then I go for Troubled Sunny battle phase, and it's exactly 8k. If he nibs, I can special summon Engraver and the full combo anyway. So I was kind of nervous when I had the 2/6 to threaten the Caesar. I said, anything? He said no, and I was, I'll go for a Desiree and try to close the game.
Wasn't quite the case, but still it was a match full of emotions throughout the previous games. And first and foremost, how do you feel? So 8-1-1 score at the moment. Probably you only need to win one of the 2 remaining matches to make it.
Oh, yeah.
How is it?
Yeah, I'm very anxious. I couldn't sleep last night. I slept like 4 hours. I had my alarm at 7:30. I woke up at 6 a.m.
Nice. Well, and you had to play on stream, so I can imagine the nerves were.
Imagine the judge coming to me and say, hey man, you're on feature. Nice, okay.
I mean, at least now you just got all your emotions. You won. You can.
I hope I won't have to go to the future the next round.
No, definitely not.
Incredible match. You're gonna come back again on the future.
We loved you, so we want you again. No, obviously we wish you best of luck, and hopefully we'll see you more of it in the top cut. But first of all, let's just go through some of these emotions in this match. You obviously played a deck that not many people, expected. Yeah. And I think game 1 was an interesting start. Because obviously your opponent had to face both Purulia and Fuvalos. So what is your plan usually going second against this deck, Raisen Mitsurugi?
I know that I've built my deck to have, I have 19 traps in my deck, and all of them I have a nice spot against the Raisen. Oh, it was a Mitsurugi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, actually.
And Bell is very nice, Bell, because Bell can be thrown on the prayers.
Yeah.
It might stop it. It's very terrible, but it's a spot. It's good against other matchups, but it's good against, like all my entraps in my main deck are good against that deck. Then going second, I put on the second the other 2 copies of Purulia and the Duster, and I have like 23 non-engine to go against the deck, and like 11 one-card combos, 12 one-card combos, including Glory. I know it's bad, but it's a one-card combo. I can still do season, I can still do stuff to tank my opponent's
Absolutely.
things.
So what is it that you like about your deck so much that you decided to bring it today?
The thing is that this card right here is the only card that can actually stop my deck. And seeing my opponent throwing Joel, I felt a relief because I said, oh, now I just have to do full combo.
Absolutely.
You can't stop me there. And Nibiru, it's kind of annoying. It's kind of an issue, but I can play around it. Like a normal Kisikil can easily play through Nibiru, can like put on two like 3 negates, depending on where he throws it. But there's not like a really good spot, like better than the others. Some spots are bad, some spots are equally good, but I can still do combo.
Yeah.
Like only, it's like I don't want to say some weird stuff, but Neptabis maybe it's like Neptabis because it's a one-card combo that can tank like one entrap.
Of course.
Not Joel.
Yeah.
If he dumps the Dragoons, but it's something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you were about to give us a show at the end, which is the next clip here of game 1. But then, you know, your opponent, I guess, kind of surprising. You know, it was enough from this point.
Yeah. I was counting what he could have done even with the Joel.
Yeah.
And he could have just sent the dual drive to graveyard with the node, then special summon X, dumping the Eclipse, and using dual drive and detonator to special summon detonator again. And now the Desiree was kind of there because if I negated with Desiree as Chailing 2, he could have gone Chailing 3 detonator on the Desiree, and there was no negates. I had Zwid, which is a terrible brick in hand, incredible card, but terrible in hand. And the second Joel, I could have just see that. I don't play Typhon. I decided to play the Moon. And it came off incredibly handy during the event. I managed to win a game only with entraps, like Nibiru on field, normal summon Ash Blossom, Moon Requiem, and
fair enough.
Caesar control.
So then the decision is paying off up until now, and you already mentioned briefly about Droll and Lockbear, but I have a clip that explains that pretty well about game 2, how the card does not affect you, which was interesting to witness because your opponent does Droll you, but you don't respond to it, and you save your cold buy, right?
I could have saved the cold buy for the Ash Blossom. In fact, the Ash Blossom on the Requiem would have been nasty. I would have ended up just with Abao and Troubled Sun without the Caesar, so I left. So I had to do the cold buy. Then I had a Joel and a Magnamuth, so I was kind of
chilling. I guess.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe it showed a bit of lack of experience overall this weekend from players against your deck? Keeping those Droll locks, or do you?
I've faced kind of experienced players. They knew kind of the deck. Some of them didn't know the Zwid effect and the Link 1. But I faced either players that didn't know that if they belled me and I had an Echo Equip, I could have drawn. Even if they belled me. So
a mix, I guess.
Highs and lows.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if it's good, if it's something that you can say in English.
No. I mean, we get it.
Translating later in Italian.
We get it, yeah. But I mean, obviously now the competition is gonna get tougher and tougher, and there are more and more rounds. But again, the end of this game showed us, you coming back quite strong into the match. So much so that that Droll and Lock just the cherry on top of this incredible field that you put up, and I mean, how can they even break it, right?
I destroyed the Zwar because I didn't want him to go for the Exiton. And then I had to chain the Abao and dump the Magnamuth. It was really bad, so I said if he has an extender, he has to waste his follow-up.
Yeah, very good recognition. I mean, even with the commentators, they were, speaking on the Exiton night. So, well, good spot on your side to, recognize the position. And, sometimes you are so ahead that you feel like, okay, nothing can go wrong. But, that's definitely a good spot. But then, obviously, I have to quickly
you
just
really
show.
You have to be sure. You have to put them in line. They don't have to have anything.
Absolutely. But, I mean,
no mercy.
No, we don't. And it's also respect to your opponent, I feel like, just going for it every time. But unfortunately, maybe we didn't get the ending that we wanted, not in terms of result, but just in terms of show, because, your opponent just sadly completely bricks, only has this impermanence, and as you've mentioned, you try to play a bit around, your Telt, Nibiru, and then, I mean...
Even against Nibiru now, I could have gone full comb. No, not full comb. I could have just ended up with a bow and a Nib token.
Fair enough. So, yeah.
With zero defense.
I
No,
mean-
with a lot of defense, actually.
Yeah. So
The chain Knight Sword Serpent was
When you get
the cherry on top. I was so scared.
for a moment, yeah.
thought, what possibly could he do?
Yeah, no, but I mean, it was still an incredible match. I mean, Kostis is still in it. He can win the last 2 remaining match and maybe join you in Top Cut,
Yeah.
hopefully. So, I mean, we'll wish you best of luck remaining.
Thank you very
Only
much.
one more match. Come on, I know we can do it. I know me and Alberto will especially be supporting Italy, so you hopefully get a spot in the Top Cut. But thank you for being with us, and congratulations on your run until now. So,
Thank you.
thank you guys again. This was the end of round 10, but don't go anywhere because we'll be soon with round 11.